Hey everybody, Stephen Ho here with the Mister Sauga real estate team, and today we're going to talk about when is the perfect time for you to sell your home. Since the beginning of the pandemic, many families are reaching out and wondering and reassessing their current situation. If they need a little bit more workspace from home, do they have family plans that are changing? Also, what are they expecting to get for their house? Because as we all know, this new normal is changing for a lot of different people for different situations. So here's a couple of things you need to consider before you make that decision to move. So there's no perfect way to really time the market, but ultimately you just want to know what your plans are for the next 3 to 5 years. Real estate isn't a get rich quick type of investment to do. There's a lot of costs and fees and things like that that come into play. So any plan to move, you should look at the next 3 to 5 years. When you're making a decision that involves such a large asset, you want to take your time and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. You want to make sure that when you're making a decision this big, that it's going to be reasonable as opposed to being reactive. You have to think a little bit more long term. If you're thinking short term, you might as well just stay in rent and invest your money. But if you're thinking a little bit more long term, you're gonna make a more sound decision. Like future workplace, future family plans, what kind of locations you wanna be at. Do you wanna commute? Do you need a home office? Are you planning to have more kids? Things like that, you need to have a good understanding. Now I get it, nobody really knows the future, but you can always have a little plan for your personal life. Ultimately, this decision has to come down to what's most important to you. You have to think about the personal reasons, which we just mentioned, but also your financial planning. Another thing you need to focus on is getting rid of debt. With these ultra historical lows of interest rates, you need to take advantage of this situation and get yourself out of debt if you have any. Take advantage of this situation where we have the historical low interest rates to get rid of any debt you might have. That way, when you're making a financial decision, it's going to be based on the future and not what's lagging and still there from the past. That way, you're gonna have the ability to make a decision with a clear head and stability and obviously less stress. Now, one of the most important things you're gonna have to decide when you're deciding to make that move is where you're gonna go. Evaluating the different types of properties, locations, styles, all of these things come into play with your next property. Your living standards, what's required, your workplace, family, all of these things come into play with deciding what you want in your next home. So doing some research before you go out there, you can do that by watching some of our market updates on these very same channels. You can tell whether we're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. It's very hard to time the market, but you have to look at those numbers to make sure that you're in the right time and in the market to make that move. For example, right now the condo market is a bit soft. There's a few variety of reasons because of the lack of immigration, people working from home, not needing to commute to work. There's a little bit of a lack of demand for that type of property. But right now, is it a good time to sell a condo? If you need to make a move to a townhouse or a semi or a house from a condo, it might be better for you to sell first so you know what you're dealing with and then buy, because it's going to take a little bit longer perhaps to sell a condo than it would to sell a townhouse or a semi-detached. You don't want to get stuck in a position where you have to sell or you have to buy and be pressured into a point where you have to do that, because that's not an advantage for you. There's lots to take into consideration, and this decision can't be rushed or shouldn't be rushed. But there's so many things to it. If you want to discuss a little bit more, feel free to shoot me a message. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. And until then, we'll see you next week.